Tell me everything you know. Everything people say. Go.
Sex.
Sex. Unfaithfulness.
Do not prevent a high percentage.
Not 100%.
Birth control.
Birth control.
Prevention.
For sinners. Save life.
Save lives. Causes cancer. Fungus.
Reduce the sweetness.
They reduce the sweetness. Very, very true.
The tool for positive needed. Eating sweets without removing cover.
Yeah, people say these things.
Kila kitu bila kutoa maganda. Siwezi kusikia utamu wa pipi.
Anything else? Okay. So
Can burst.
it can burst. It's big man, huh? It can burst.
Again, it is taken as a tool for failure.
It can contain 5 liters of water. It's itchy.
It's itchy.
Not safe.
It's not safe.
Someone said it is European plant to kill the Africans.
I've even heard people say this HIV is on the inside of the condom. Huh? It's on the inside. When you put it on, that's when you get it. Huh? So there's lots of things that are said about condoms. Lots of things. But what are the facts? What are the facts about condoms? When were the first condoms made? No, you tell me. First condoms. The first condoms are more than 3,000 years ago. They were using them in ancient Egypt. And in ancient Egypt, what they used was they used a piece of the intestine, huh, from the inside of an animal. That thing that we used to make sausage, they were using that. Because already then they knew you could prevent pregnancy and so on by using one of these things. By the time we get to the 16th and 17th century, young men used to have what they called a silk. And it was this little silk thing that you could tie on. Huh? And you used that during sex. And then afterwards you could just wash it and hang it up to dry, and then you can use it again tomorrow. So the concept of using something like that for birth control has been around for a very long time. A very, very long time. The interesting thing I discovered was that in some countries, condoms are no issue at all. They're no issue. When I went to China, no issue. Why? Because they had this government policy that said one child. And so you had to make sure you only had one child, because if you had two, you had to pay tax. You were taxed if you had a second child. So that people were familiar with how to prevent pregnancy. So it was no problem. In China, I could speak about condoms, nobody even said anything strange. Because condoms were something that everybody used, because it was necessary because of the government policy. Because if you pay normally 10% tax, if you have a second child, they double it. They don't reduce it, they double it. So it was very expensive to break the law. Very expensive. So there I found no problem with condoms. Now, the first time that the condom that we see today, this latex condom, started being developed and used was really in the First World War. And it came about in the First World War because so many of the soldiers were getting sexually transmitted infections. Particularly, you know, it was first developed and handed out by the US government, because all their soldiers were getting sick with gonorrhea and with syphilis the whole time. So then the government gave people condoms to prevent them from getting the sexually transmitted infections. So then they weren't so worried about the pregnancy, it was about stopping sexually transmitted infections. So the one thing that we need to know about condoms is that not only do they prevent HIV, they also prevent other sexually transmitted infections. But for condoms to work, they have to be used correctly and consistently. You know, there's the story of the man who had 12 children. 12 children. And it was getting a bit difficult to feed all these mouths. So he went to the doctor and he said, "Doctor, I don't know what's going on. My wife just keeps falling pregnant." And the doctor said to him, "But have you heard of condoms?" And he said, "No, what's a condom?" So the doctor took out and he showed him a condom. And he said, "Ah, but doctor, what does this thing do?" He says, "Look, let me show you." And he took the condom and he opened it and he rolled it down on the end of the broom to show him how to use the condom. 3 months later, he came to the doctor and he said, "My wife's pregnant again. It's not working." And the doctor said, "But are you using the condoms?" He said, "Yes, every night I put a condom on the broom." Every night. So we have to know the correct way of using a condom. And then we have to use it consistently. So I'm going to suggest we go outside.